China bans kids from playing online video games during the week. Holy shit, man. I would fucking hate to live in this country. I would hate to live in a country where my government's telling me I can't play video games during the week. The fact that there isn't revolution right now from children just shows you how scared the children are of their own government, because honestly, children should get up right now and revolt. I'm calling for it. Children of China, I know you can't watch this, but if somehow this leaks through your VPN network that you're using because you are being banned from watching everything because Big Brother's watching you because China's telling you what to do, you know, if you're tired of it, right? Get your torches. It's time. It's time to get your torches. It's time. As you know, did China remove their presidential term limits, enabling the current president from 2012 to continually rule China for as long as he wants? Indefinitely is the word, indefinitely. Did you know this? That Xi Jinping can pretty much be the president for as long as he wants. He's taking the rule book. He's taking a page right out of the Putin rule book. I mean, it is very scary when you have a Putin and a Jinping together who are indefinitely ruling their countries for a very long time because they can amass power. They can pretty much play a long game, unlike any country has ever done since old school monarchy days. This is insane. This is insanity. This explains a lot of what's going on. Now, China, let's watch.
These new rules are not entirely surprising. Just a few weeks ago, a major state media outlet described video games as spiritual opium, as a result wiping out billions of dollars in
spiritual opium. This is like the propaganda. Like this is okay, yeah, like we talked about video games, and yes, they can be hypnotizing. Yes, they can form bad habits. Yes. And that's just called, like, you know, moderation, man. Like, you should be able to do that on your own, not your government telling you. You know, there's some serious problems with this.
Market value for some of the country's biggest gaming companies. So these latest rules are almost the other shoe dropping. Now, this is not even the Chinese government's first attempt to limit playtime for minors. Back in 2019, they already limited playtime for people under 18 to 90 minutes each day and 3 hours at most during public holidays.
Oh, Eradicator is going to tell us some stuff we don't know, maybe. Eradicator lives around the area, and he's going to enlighten us a little bit with some more information here, which is good. Everything that I am watching right now makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. Hey, Lucky, I saw that, buddy. just you know, hey, remember, it wasn't advice. It was just opinions. I used to play almost 12 hours every day at one time. Damn, professional. Damn, dude. I think you might have needed the Chinese government to come in on you, buddy. It's okay. I think we've all binged video games. It's just weird. Calling it spiritual opium is very strange, right? Right, Orson? And the business model that Eradicator is saying for video games is cheap mobile games with a pay-to-win model. Okay, all right. The problem with the Chinese is that they don't want to pay for video games, but they want to win, so they are okay to pay to win. Uh-huh. Is that I understand where you're coming from, like in generality speak. You know, like you can talk about gold farming in WoW. You can talk about, like, you know, how they've literally created an economy off of farming different games or selling items in games. You know, like, I mean, that's fairly well known practice, right? And they spend huge amounts of money, right? So this has had impact in my own family. How so, Eradicator? How has that had an impact for you, that the Chinese are farming their games, are willing to pay to win? Like, how is that affecting you? Just wondering. As my brother-in-law stole thousands of dollars to my wife just for some very expensive items. Oh, gaming is literally ruining families. Oh, shit. I mean, is this happening on a mass scale where children are stealing to pay for items in video games, man? And shouldn't that be on the parents and not the government, though? I mean, like, I just feel like it's a little convoluted to say that the government needs to step in because little Timmy is stealing mom or dad's credit card to buy a new, glory sword. You know what I mean? So I'm just a little concerned
They
about
have also
this.
long required real name registration and login for all video games. But all of these restrictions apparently not enough, according to officials, because they have received so many complaints from parents who say gaming addiction has severely affected their children's ability to learn, to study, their mental and physical health, as well as causing social problems. So the authorities
Right. That can happen. But again, like having the government step in and policing a situation that should be really kept to mother and father is a little strange to me. But again, there are big cultural differences between China and America. Like in China for thousands of years, they have a very kind of top-down mentality where people who are lower on the hierarchy are okay with like doing what they can to support the top tier. At least that's the way it's been for a very long time, and that habitual cycle has been replayed for millennia, and it's just part of the culture. Whereas America is kind of like a bottom-up kind of country culture where, citizens believe in individuality and freedom, and that we work ourselves to a point where we are, work our way up and then support the lower classes, and it's kind of more cyclical. Anyway, it's just a very scary thing to see when the government gets involved in it. I saw that Bellular News did a little study on it, so I kind of want to watch just a little bit till we get tired of it. And let's just watch his opinions on the matter. Maybe he can give us a little bit more information. Shout out to Bellular. I really like this guy. He's very informative. Let us check this out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Hopefully this is not a grim glimpse at the future for what perhaps we might have to experience, or perhaps even our kids might have to experience. Though I think there are certainly some in many big Western governments who would seriously consider measures like this. As an example, China was actually brought up, as an example, in some of the UK government hearings that had been going on. So we should pay attention to this. Right. And also, this is probably the sort of thing that explains, as we've covered a little bit in the channel, the likes of Tencent and NetEase trying to get a little bit more into the global market and not just the domestic market for them. All right. Tweets from Daniel Ahmad. China's game regulator continues to implement targeted regulations aimed at curbing game addiction among minors. Get this. The new policy states that minors can only play games for 1 hour on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Oh, fuck. Dude. That's ridiculous. If I would literally move. I love gaming too much. That's fucking ridiculous. Friday through Sunday, 8 to 9 p.m., 1 hour. The fuck? And how do they regulate this? Because they're watching people on their fucking cameras. They're hooked right into the goddamn PCs. So what do? What are the punishments if you go over this?
Between 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's it. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's your after-dinner gaming, and that is that.
I mean, it sounds to me like Eradicator's saying that they're only doing it to video games that are paid to play. Is that what you're saying, Erad? Because like the way it's being reported, it is as video gaming. Like, what delineates a video game? Are they just saying it on pay-to-win games, or are they saying it on every game? Like, I guess when I'm reading what you're stating there, I'm wondering what your point is. Like, are you saying that they need to report this correctly and that it is only on pay-to-win games? Not quite sure. Sorry about that. Yeah, I know, right, Soriel? I can't even create a character says tech in an hour. Soriel says I can barely get off a planet in an hour. Yeah, all video games. Yeah, that's insane. That's insanity.
You will be doing no more video games. As he says, it's a very or extremely restrictive policy. The previous policy was 1.5 hours per day. So, per day,
dude, that's ridiculous. Next, they're going to have bans on jacking off. You watch. It starts with this, then it starts with self-gratification. It starts with video games. They're going to move it to porn. They're going to move it to porn.
We're down.
Watch out, kids. Get out.
Down from
Get out. Move out of China.
To 3
it's time
days.
to move out. We'll accept you. Come play video games in America and jack off.
That minors are going to spend
come on over
gaming.
to America.
And this
we're going to
is
take
actually, as he points out,
every Chinese citizen that is
Korea
tired of this bullshit.
Just...
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Kids, when you grow up, just move to America. Get the fuck out of China. Become an American citizen. We will support your video game addiction. We will also support your porn addiction. Come on over to the land of plenty. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Help us out. Then we'll have more people when we go to war against China. Then we'll have more citizens. You see what I'm saying? This is what really how my mind thinks. You understand? This is why I'm evil, right? Because the porn stash brought out an evil part of me, right? So you can understand now that I'm enticing the Chinese to come over here with the video games and porn, right? But then they will become citizens that will fight in our armies against China. You see? Do you see? That is an evil unlike any other evil that I know. Porn stash, what are you doing to me, porn stash? Pepe, look what the stash is doing to me. Do you see what the stash is doing to me, Pepe? It's terrible.
Overturned
I'm so sorry.
its own shutdown law. And minors are going to be restricted
yes,
at
right. It is
level
wriggling with
using the existing real name registration and anti-addiction systems that exist. And he says here, as a reference, and I think that we need to look at the second order effects of this. He says, for reference, there are around 110 million minors in China that play video games today. According to Tencent, players under the age of 16 account for approximately 2.6% of its total.
Tencent is crazy evil, by the way. If you want to know what Tencent is, okay, it's a large media Chinese company controlled by the CCP. The dude on Tencent's board is literally in the Communist Chinese Party. He's literally a member, a government official who is the CEO of Tencent. And what Tencent is doing is ridiculous. They're not just media anymore. They're buying more than just video game publishers. They half own League of Legends. I think they outright own Riot now. I'm not quite sure. That could be wrong, but they own a lot of the video game publishers. They're also getting into phones, not telemarketing, but the telephone industry. Like they're grabbing everything they can. Tencent is ridiculous. So if you want to know more about Tencent, type it up on my channel, and I do kind of this expose on Tencent and do like a deep dive on what Tencent is. And they've got this crazy ash commercial about like them, like, welcome to Tencent. Like it's like that voice that scares the shit out of you in your nightmares. That is like that welcoming voice, almost like a George Takei. Hello there. Like it almost sounds like George Takei. Like, oh my, welcome to Tencent.
Total player spend, which shows the overall impact won't be too significant, but it's still a notable chunk. I would maybe add an asterisk that says, for now. And I have a reason for that. I'll bring it up before we go to these Bloomberg quotes. The young people who play video games today are the high-spending adults who play video games of tomorrow. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I could only play 3 hours of games a week, I mean, maybe I'd be spending time doing some other things. Maybe I wouldn't get into gaming as much, and maybe I wouldn't end up being an adult that contributes money to the games industry.
Yeah, it's going to change the economy, and when you see things like this, you should be looking at a Tencent for a shorting opportunity. Possibly. Again, just my opinion. When you look at what Chinese are doing, China, not just China. Let me just back up the truck here. It isn't China that's doing this. It's Xi Jinping, who is ruling now indefinitely. See, it isn't China. It isn't China that's doing this. It's this dude. It's this guy who is ruling indefinitely. This is what's kind of scary about not having term limits, right? Term limits are really important in a government. But when I see news like this, I instantly, the trader in me goes to think about, okay, what industries are going to be affected by all this Chinese regulation? We saw what happened to DIDI, which is kind of like the Uber of China. They dropped when China said, hey, you know, there's some data concerns here. We don't want you sharing this information with other countries. We want to consolidate this information, this technology. And that stock dropped like a fucking rocket. You saw when they came in and started regulating the academia companies, all the academic companies, and said, you know what, you guys aren't profit businesses, even though you're listed on markets. Even though you're listed on the Hang Seng, even though you're listed as a depository receipt, an ADR on the stock exchange on Wall Street, even though you're listed already on stock exchanges, you are no longer a profit company. You are a non-profit company. Boom, that stock got hit 90%. When you start seeing Chinese come, this is why like a lot of the Chinese have been taking money out of their own market. It has lost a lot of money because they're like, well, shit, government's going to come in and just start regulating so many things down to the ground. Why am I putting money in anything? And you can see a divergence in the Chinese stock market compared to the American stock market. It is ridiculous.
So while right now, this does not directly target a massive chunk of Tencent's revenue, it is not particularly great, and we can talk about some of those industry effects. Now, from Bloomberg, yes, China will limit the amount of time children can spend playing games to just 3 hours most weeks, a dramatic escalation of restrictions
3 hours
which
a
dealt
week.
a blow to the world's largest mobile
My
gaming
son would
market.
break a hole in the side of the brick wall.
As Beijing signaled it would continue a campaign of control, or a campaign to control, the expansion of large tech companies. Another quote, gaming platforms from Tencent and NetEase can only offer online gaming to minors from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. On Fridays, weekends, and public holidays. So, I mean, hey, when the public holiday comes, at least you can do an hour of gaming. A top-level committee led by President Xi Jinping said that the efforts made to prevent...
This will also affect American companies in China, like Activision Blizzard, like EA. Like the video game industry is getting a little hurt put on it by these regulations. Now, what's going to happen to the stock prices of these companies? Not quite sure. How much it's going to affect them? Well, I can definitely tell you it'll put a collar around the revenues. It's definitely going to restrain the amount that it could be. I mean, like, imagine the amount of money that could be spent if there weren't restrictions like these. A lot of Americans were banking on the Chinese to be the answer to all of like the doubling of stocks and price valuations all across the board for companies that went into China. Well, China's, going hardcore mainstream, regulating everything. That really puts a damper on those expectations, on all of that speculation. That really just, so I would say for people that are invested overseas, especially right now in China, just be very careful. Could be a buying opportunity, but honestly, long term, I do not see it that way. My opinion, I want to keep my money away from anything Chinese right now, except perhaps the EV sector, which is the electric vehicle sector. So like that, I know for sure that China might regulate in terms of like the AI used in cars, but that's about it. And they're also having a huge chip shortage right now, which is kind of dampening the price that will be around for the next year or two Like long-term wise, I'm not quite sure I'm safe putting my money in an American depository receipts like a NIO or a Lee or an electric vehicle manufacturer, because what if some other fucking shit happens out of the blue? So it doesn't make me feel so confident. I've traded NIO a few times myself, made a little bit of money off of NIO, but now it's kind of like, should I even bother? You know, chips are made in Taiwan, but cars that are made in China use those chips. Yeah, exactly, Erad. Yeah, Chinese chips are crap. There is a chip manufacturer near you called Taiwan Semiconductor. I believe the ticker is TSM. Really great company. And Taiwan Semiconductor provides 80% of chip capacity throughout the entire globe. Now, when TSMC, thank you very much, Erad. Now, when you got a Taiwan Semiconductor saying that is a big deal. Intel's playing catch up. Intel really not even a player compared to Taiwan Semiconductor. Taiwan Semiconductor and market cap alone, what they're worth, far surpassing Intel. But Intel trying to play catch up. A lot of Americans are saying, okay, well, we need to step up our own chip production in the country. That will happen, but it's going to take some time. I know Ford probably will do something exclusive with Intel, but a lot of people right now, especially in the EV biz, are relying upon Taiwan Semiconductor. But I get really nervous on the overseas trades right now. Yeah, they need the chips. Absolutely, Rad. Totally agree with you. 100%, bro.
Prevent the disorderly expansion of some platform companies.
Red Bear, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy.
I do find that to be interesting because obviously this is in a Chinese context. Even in other markets, like say America, there are a lot of people who are worried about big tech platforms, right? And it just makes you wonder all of the
now Tesla's interesting, right?
Systems of government in the world.
I think there was talks in Tesla Techno, and I could be incorrect about this, but this is just like me glancing at Tesla from time to time, where Elon, Elon was saying he wanted to really kind of get his own chip production going. I'm not quite sure exactly how, but he was talking about how they shouldn't be so reliant overseas any longer. This video is very disturbing. The AI day, yes, I saw the Tesla robot, but when they initially launched it, they had a guy dancing out there, man. Yeah, maybe it's not such a bad thing if Tesla comes out with this AI robot first. I know how Elon is very concerned about AI. Like you can see tons of videos about Elon talking about the dangers of AI, and the people that are putting AI out there think that they know what's best for everyone and that they're super smart, and there's no way a machine or an AI could actually outthink them. But that is the fallacy. That is exactly the problem with a lot of the people in the AI industry that are developing the AI, is that they think that they can't be outsmarted. So Elon's got really good points about that. And I would say that I would feel a little bit safer if Elon led the charge with AI, with these Tesla robots, and it would make me feel a little bit more comfortable if he was like the guy leading the way,
world and how they respond to various different things. Of course, I think you can expect a more draconian measures from the CCP.
Anyway, this story, excuse me, Jesus. This story just gets me all types of angry. Like, I can't even really continue with the story, so I'm just going to stop it right here and just say how fucking stupid it is, and how I can't believe that, you've got a country that's cucked. I mean, you've got people that are completely cucked, that are believing that, like, this is okay, this is fine. Like, there is the other extreme where it is addictive and it is bad to, like, 24/7 be playing video games. There's both sides of the coin, right? There's the side where there's just like no end to the amount of gaming that you do, that you're constantly plugged in, that you're always doing it, that it does develop bad social habits and learning, not disabilities, but it hampers learning and education. But then you got this side here that's the extreme side where you can play literally an hour Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like what? What is the fucking deal here, man? It is insanity. And so I can't believe like that these rules by sheep, like basically this is what's going to happen to China eventually. Another Tiananmen Square. Like, I don't know how many of you know your history, but I really think at some point the people will stand up because, you know, when a man becomes this type of a dictator and starts to limit people's like personal lives, you're going to see another Tiananmen Square. You just are, because eventually people are going to have a limit. They're going to say no more. There will be a point at which there is a no, and then you will have a revolution of sorts. So I'm not quite sure right now if I would be so concerned about China, because I feel like China is going to fuck themselves in their own ass. Like, I was concerned quite a while, but when this story broke, I thought to myself, like, you know, I'm not as worried about China as I once was, because I really think that this dude here, Xi Jinping, is going to fuck himself in his own ass. I think he's really over-regulating right now. I think he's making people's lives very difficult, and I can't wait to see the revolution, because I think it's going to happen. I think he's striking the match to his own fire, you know? Yeah, he's pegging himself, right, Lucky? Right, like hopefully he pegs himself before he pegs us. And I think that's what the race to the pegging. Will he peg himself first, or will he peg America before he pegs himself? And I think all of us can agree that we would rather see him peg himself first. And he's on a very good trajectory for that to happen. Like, probability wise, if I was a gambler, man, which I am, I would say right now I'm feeling like 65-35. 65 that he's going to peg himself, 35 that'll peg America first. So I'm looking for that. There's your probabilities right now. I'm thinking that he keeps along this path and he keeps on fucking regulating like he has been. He's already pissed off the entire economic industry. Like everybody who's trying to invest money there, he's pissed off. Now he's going after the gaming community. He's going after the children. The families are going to be affected. Like he's definitely up the odds, you know, like I'm saying 65 for pegging himself, 35 for him pegging America before he pegs himself. So there's where we're at. That's what I feel like. I'm sharing all my thoughts with you, and back to the show.